This time of year is overwhelming, but getting the information that someone's been arrested in her murder uh, was almost as overwhelming as finding out that she was gone.
Police in Arizona say they expect to make more arrests in the case of a young woman who was kidnapped, tortured, and left in a burning car on the side of a highway. And as the case picks up momentum, there have been a number of strange twists and turns. I'm going to sit down with the victim's parents to find out more about her and the latest progress in the case. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. It has been more than a year since the horrific discovery of Mercedes Vega's body outside of Phoenix, Arizona. She was last seen alive on surveillance video in April of 2023, leaving her apartment complex in Tempe and walking to her car. Authorities believe the 22-year-old exotic dancer was attacked just outside of the frame of the video. Blood was found on the parking garage floor, and her car was later found abandoned. And after midnight, a 911 phone call came in about a car on fire on the side of I-10.
He was like down in the bushes, but I saw a flame inside the vehicle.
Okay, see, they're on the westbound I-10?
Yes. Yeah, just north of the highway. I don't really know what it is. I couldn't tell you.
Okay, unknown vehicle. Okay, anyone? You said there's people outside the vehicle?
I believe I saw at least one person outside, yes.
And Mercedes' autopsy report reveals the horrific torture she suffered before she died. She was shot in the arm, she was hit in the head, and she had bleach in her throat, bleach poured on her face. And the car that she was found in was set on fire. And the medical examiner determined that on top of all of her other injuries, her cause of death was contributed to smoke inhalation and burns. Now, who would have done this? Well, the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office announced that they arrested 22-year-old Sencere Hayes nearly 2,000 miles away in Tennessee in connection with Mercedes' murder. He was arrested and he was charged with first-degree murder. He's going to be extradited back to Arizona. Now, online court records show Hayes was arrested twice in the past year, once in May, again in June. He's facing charges of DUI, reckless driving, possession of a handgun while under the influence, theft of property. Hayes was also facing charges out of Alabama in 2021 for receiving stolen property and possession of marijuana. And that case ended up being dismissed just days before Mercedes was killed because of accusations against a deputy that was involved in the case. But no clear reason about why this might have happened or why he might have done this. By the way, as you can see, the content that we're covering here on Sidebar shows that the world is just not a safe place. It is scary. And you know when you really need to think about that, aside from protecting yourself and your family, protecting your home. And I say that because I just found out that apparently home title fraud is rampant right now. I met with the people over at Home Title Lock, our incredible partner and sponsor. I'm not going to lie to you, they freaked me out. So this is an example of a fraudulent quitclaim deed. It got filled out with my information, forged signature, fake notary seal. Not only can my property just get transferred behind my back, but the scammers, they go after the equity. They take out loans using your home as collateral. They do all that, they disappear, and they leave you with a legal and financial nightmare. But that is where Home Title Lock comes in to give you peace of mind, especially with their triple lock protection. That gets you 24/7 monitoring, alerts of any changes, and restoration services at no out-of-pocket cost to you. So to protect your home, go to HometitleLock.com/sidebar. Use promo code SIDEBAR. You'll get a 30-day free trial of their triple lock protection and a free title history report to make sure you aren't already a victim. Going back to Mercedes, there's another interesting wrinkle we have to talk about, and that's how in October of 2020, Mercedes was a victim again. She was the victim of an armed robbery in Phoenix when she was just 19 years old. Cudjoe Young was accused of targeting women who worked at a gentleman's club, following them home, holding them at gunpoint, and demanding that they give him money. And Mercedes picked the suspect out of a photo lineup, wrote a victim impact statement to the court. And because of that, as you can imagine, Young was investigated as a possible suspect in Mercedes' murder because he was not locked up at the time, but he did have an ankle monitor. This is according to the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. By the way, Young's armed robbery case, it's been delayed several times, and at a court hearing last month, his latest attorney told the judge that a plea deal could be in the works. If something isn't hammered out by January, though, Young will go to trial. And in a bizarre connection, it is reported that Young is from the same area in Tennessee as Sencere Hayes, Chattanooga. So far, though, the sheriff's office has not commented on any connection between the robbery case and the murder case, but that is a strange kind of coincidence, if that's what it is. Now, investigators told family members that more arrests could be coming. Mercedes' family and friends, they have been fighting for justice in her case from the very beginning. According to her obituary, Mercedes was successful at everything she set out to do. She did not apologize for who she was, and yet she was always uplifting and encouraging those around her. So to talk more about this, I actually have two special guests with me. I'm joined by Erika and Tom Pillsbury. This is Mercedes Vega's mother and stepfather. First of all, thank you so much for coming on. I know this is never easy talking about this, and I just want to say I'm so sorry for your loss, and I'm so sorry for what you and the family are going through, what you have gone through. I really just want to start with how are you both doing right now?
It's overwhelming. I mean, it was overwhelming last year at this time of year. This time of year is overwhelming, but getting the information that someone's been arrested in her murder was almost as overwhelming as finding out that she was gone. But now I've got some other emotions woven in there, some happy memories and some hope. Because for 19 months, we really had no hope.
Yeah, it's been really strange because we had the day that they showed up at nighttime, which was the worst day because we were out of the country. And then to have that over 500 days later, to have one call you, it's like you're happy, you're sad, you're angry, you're frustrated. You know, we don't have the answers why, but it was like completely devastating to, you know, not ever thinking that this was ever going to get solved. Because I felt the longer it went on without someone being arrested, the farther the evidence would not be there.
What were police telling you during this time?
From the very beginning, they really didn't tell us much.
Yeah.
When they first came to the door, the very first time, they only asked us 4 questions. They asked us if Mercedes was right or left-handed, where she actually lived, if she had any reason to be near Tonopah, Arizona, and if she owned a gun. And then they told us she was dead, and they didn't tell us anything else.
Yeah, I figured out that what happened to her by Googling Tonopah, Arizona.
That's how you found out?
Yep, because, I mean, I know you're not in Arizona, but Tonopah is the middle of nowhere. It's heading towards LA. It's basically where was found. There's not another rest stop for 50 miles. So she was in the middle of nowhere. So my daughter disappeared in that area. There's a car on the side of the road with someone burning in it. I put it together. They weren't very forthcoming with information. They've never been forthcoming with information. We've had to find out information from the media. We've found out information from Twitter. And I don't know if you've seen it, but the video of my daughter walking out of her apartment, they knew that was out there, and it was out there, and we didn't find it from them. We found it on Twitter. Someone sent it to us. They admitted that they should have told us, but they didn't tell us.
I was going to ask you what their explanation was.
None. We can't tell you information because her other siblings did a lot of digging.
Yeah.
And my wife especially started piecing things together, and so we would ask the questions with like knowing what we wanted to hear. And he'd say, I can't tell you that right now. I can't tell you right now. There will be a day I can tell you everything, but we never got information. It was very vague. We got a lot of secondhand information from the media.
Do you have any idea about why this might have happened? Do you know who this suspect is? Any idea?
Well, we know that she was the victim of armed robbery in 2020. And that he had followed her home, we believe, from work, or was waiting there, had known who she was. And she didn't really know who he was, but he had been watching her.
And just to be clear, you're talking about Cujo Young, right?
Cujo,
yes.
Yeah.
Cujo Young, yeah.
Yeah, Cujo Young. He had followed her or was waiting for her when she pulled in and held her up, threw her down on the ground told her he was going to kill her, held her at gunpoint, made her open her phone, give him her car keys, her purse, and told her he was going to kill her. And she never ever went back to that apartment again. She ran to the neighbor, called 911. They came, and he is just now, well, he's facing those charges, but we were hoping he's going to come to a plea agreement around the 18th of December. We're hoping. We're giving him till that time, and then if he doesn't make one by then, we'll go to trial.
The strange coincidence in this whole thing is the gentleman that is under arrest, they both lived in the same county.
Yep.
They lived 12 miles apart from
My
each
wife
other.
looked it up.
Any other connection between the two of them that you know of?
Looks
No.
like they have the same hairdresser.
But other than that, from what we've been told, the person that is in custody now didn't really do social media, because I thought for sure that you would see something with these two together in some kind of social media thing, like out on the town or whatever. From what I've heard, there's been nothing that can link them together
So far.
But it just seems very odd that they lived in the exact same county.
Because, of course, Mercedes was instrumental in Young's detention and
She
prosecution.
was.
Yes, she was.
She had identified him in a lineup.
Yep.
And she was planning on being at the trial. She had a statement she had written out. She planned on testifying. She pointed him out the fourth or fifth time he got arrested. He had come into her work. She pointed him out, and that's what got him arrested. So she was very instrumental and working very closely with law enforcement to try to get him to pay for what he had done. I mean, he terrified her.
As far as Mercedes' death, investigators haven't, given you an indication about what the motive might have been, or have they even indicated what evidence led them to this suspect?
No. All we've seen so far is just that they're transferring Sincere back from Tennessee to Arizona on first-degree murder charges at all, so et cetera, including many other charges, and kind of indicated that he is the one who actually killed her, but didn't say those specific words.
His exact words was he was a main player in this happening. As of evidence, we have suggested evidence like video cameras, because of where she lived. There was cameras in and out of the place. Where the tram runs across from her place, there was evidence. They have just not given us that. They never questioned us like we were suspects. They never brought us down for questioning. It took over a year for them to even open up the silent witness to try to get people to be involved. It just seemed like that she didn't matter. And we got some advice from a family member to kind of because we figured it'd be solved real quick. So we backed off for the first almost 6 months. And then my wife said, I'm done being quiet. And that's when it started to grow. And then her friends started getting involved and so on. So we put a lot of pressure on them. We marched to their building and said, we want justice for her. And that was the very first time the sheriff spoke. And he didn't speak to us. He did a statement to the news. So we've been very hush hush on everything they've given us.
I'm sorry. You're not the only family members I've spoken to where they've experienced something very similar about kind of being kept in the dark. It's, look, I'm an attorney. I get it. I understand. On one hand, there's a sensitive investigation. You don't want to reveal too much, but to not give the family any kind of insight about what's happening is incredibly distressing and frustrating. And I'm so sorry. Have the prosecutors reached out to you at all? Told you what the next steps are?
Maybe you.
The prosecutor in the case of the armed robbery, yes.
But not with Sincere.
Not with Sincere, but I don't know if they even know who's going to be prosecuting him at this moment. Right. He's not even here in Arizona. He's, he did sign a paper agreeing to come to Arizona. So, that's all we have on him right now. We don't have any evidence, right. Or when it comes to her burglary, the prosecutor's been helpful. in, communicative, and we do have a victim's advocate, but for the longest time, because no one has been charged with her murder, we have had no resource for any help whatsoever due to her murder, because there was no one charged.
And to be clear, are they giving you an indication, law enforcement, that more arrests could be coming? I mean, by saying he's a main player,
Yes.
So they said that they have him, and then they have someone also who's in custody already on another charge that will be charged, and that we believe there's probably two, if not three other people involved.
Well, there's video surveillance of her car being dropped off. And there's so that is the one thing that they did give me the information, because I wanted to know. They took my daughter's car from her place and drove to Mill Avenue, which is maybe 10 minutes. It didn't go anywhere else. Her car was dropped off. Two individuals got out of her car and got into the car that she was ultimately found in. So right there puts three people, because that person driving the car and the two that were in the car, where did she go for 2 hours when they took her from her place? Because to drive from her place to where she found is an hour, and she was taken at 9:15 and not found till basically 1 o'clock in the morning. So we know that there's more people just based off of knowing that that car was dropped off, that this was not a one-person job, because her car had to be taken someplace, and then someone had to pick them up in another car, because they didn't drive her car out and then drop it off. They got rid of her car immediately.
I'm hoping you get those answers, because you need those answers about what happened to her. It's really, really eerie and strange. But now that you're seeing an arrest, maybe things will happen more rapidly. I was hoping you could tell us, do you remember the last time you spoke with Mercedes?
Yeah. So we were actually out on a cruise for my birthday. We were on the Virgin Cruise Lines out in the middle of the Caribbean Ocean, and we were texting back and forth, and I said, "Oh my gosh, Mercedes, you would love it on this cruise. It's so bougie," using her lingo. And she said, "FaceTime me," and I tried, and it wouldn't go through. And the very last thing that I said to her was, "I tried," and those were the last words she heard from me.
I saw her the week before we left. So when Mercedes needed things like, or she was sick, we would bring her food or whatever, medicine. She needed me to come down and look at her car and put some lights in her car. So I got to see her the last time, literally like days before we left. I didn't actually text her they were texting because it was her birthday, but I did talk to her, and she's like telling me how much she appreciated me and telling us to have a good time and that she loved me. And it hurts because that was the very last time that I got to see her, but I can say that I got to tell her I did love her. And then when I got back, it was just complete devastation.
I wanted to bring it back to her because she sounds like an incredible person, and I wanted you both have the platform to explain, what was she like? What was she like as a daughter? What was she like as a person? If you could just explain to our viewers and our listeners who Mercedes Vega was like.
She was born extremely fast. I was in labor with her for, I think, 6 minutes. She came out ready to be in the world, and she quickly established that she was there. She thought she was a little adult. First time she went to childcare, they were told to pick up toys, and I asked, how she did, and they said, well, she did great until it was time to clean up. And I said, well, Mercedes, why didn't you help clean up? And she said, oh, Mom, she was talking to the kids. And I was like, you are one of the kids. And she said, I am. She just thought she was such a grown up, but she was so good at everything she tried. She rode horses. She played the violin. She was an incredible straight A student. She wanted to go to Harvard. She loved to travel. She loved her family. She loved Christmas. And And she used to watch the babies in the child care. They gave her special permission at church because she was only 8 and they needed to be, I think, 10 to be in the baby room. But they called her the baby whisperer, so they let her come in there because she could put them all to sleep. And she wanted to be a mom. As she was getting older, she was ready to open her own gym. That was her plan. She was a health nut. She worked out 6 days a week. She spent one day that she would go out and do things with her friends. And that happened to be the day that her life was taken, as the day that she was going to meet friends at Dave & Buster's to play games.
Yeah, she was a very smart child. One of the stories that resonates with us is when she was 7, she decided to do a PowerPoint presentation why we should take her to Disney World. So she sat us down and showed us, this is why you should take us to Disney World. I mean, this is at 7 years old. She used the same tactic when she was turning 16.
Well, before you tell me that, did it work? Did you?
Oh yeah, it worked. It worked.
Okay, it worked. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, her and all of her siblings got to go to Disney World.
Yeah. She got to be with all the princesses, even though she doesn't like to say that she did that. She did. I stood in line at every single princess so her and her younger sister could get pictures. And then when she turned 16, she did the same thing. She did another PowerPoint presentation to us for her first tattoo. And she used a Bible verse that my wife would say to her when she was little. She wouldn't go to sleep unless Erika read this Bible verse to her. And so she put that, I want this on there in your handwriting. So how are you going to say no to that? She knew what she wanted. She had to figure it out on her own. She didn't like to be told what to do. Like example, in school, she had straight A's, but then when she got in high school, it didn't interest her.
Yeah, she would pass every test with an A, but she wouldn't do a single homework.
Yeah, she wouldn't do the homework. And she wanted to figure things out on her own. She didn't want someone to say, you should do this to get to here, this. And that's why she danced twice a week, because it was easy money and she could do what she wanted to do, even though she knew that we didn't approve of what she did, but we had to accept it because she's our daughter. But she had other dreams and other things and goals in life. She knew, and I knew from a young age, that she could do whatever she wanted to do. Her friends said that she was like their mom, because she just was so good advice, nurturing, and just was there. She just was a very kind spirit. But she could be a little nasty when she wanted to be. But ultimately, she just, she loved her family, and she
loved animals. Babies loved her. Animals loved her. I mean, people were just drawn to her. You knew when she was in the room.
Yeah.
She sounds like such a special person, and I'm not surprised she has a love for Christmas. I wonder where she got that from. I can't imagine. So
she definitely got that from us. Yes.
Yeah. Well, listen. I know this isn't easy talking about this. I really appreciate you both coming on. I'm wishing you both nothing but the best, and I'm thinking of you as you're going through this next stage of the legal process. So we're wishing you all the luck through this. If you need anything, you come to us. You have a platform here. But I want to wish you, again, happy holidays with everything in the background. And I'm so sorry.
This year.
Yeah, better holiday this year. And I'm so sorry for your loss. But again, thank you for explaining to the world a little bit more about who Mercedes was and telling us your story as well. So Erika and Tom, thank you again.
Thanks for having us.
All right, everybody, that's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jesse Weber. I'll speak to you next time.